Do you believe that after more than 40 years of marriage, love can still be as passionate as it was in the beginning? Or have you accepted that intimacy is a luxury of youth, and old age is simply a time to coexist peacefully? The story of David and Elizabeth will challenge everything you believe. David, a former architect, and Elizabeth, a retired teacher, have what seemed to be a perfect marriage. But then, as the years passed, an invisible gap began to appear between them. It wasn't due to arguments or disagreements, but a painful silence, an acceptance that physical intimacy was no longer a part of their lives. Can they find their way back to each other, or has love truly fallen asleep? The small beachside house in California, where David and Elizabeth had lived for 30 years, was always filled with sunlight and the sound of crashing waves. But in recent years, Elizabeth felt the house was like a detached island. Their lives passed by peacefully, with meals at a fixed time, afternoon walks, and evenings spent watching TV. Everything seemed fine, but something was missing. It was connection. Both David and Elizabeth felt the distance, but neither dared to speak of it. They both believed this was a part of old age, an inevitable truth that all other couples were also experiencing. One night, Elizabeth, with her graying hair, sat in front of her vanity mirror, looking at her reflection. She saw a woman with wrinkles around her eyes and a gaze filled with silent sorrow. She remembered their youth, when she and David could talk for hours, when a simple touch of his hand was enough to make her heart race. But now, David often went to bed early. His back turned to her and she accepted it. She believed David no longer desired her, that her aging body was no longer appealing. That fear grew in her heart. At the same time, David was also tossing and turning in bed. He too felt the distance. He loved Elizabeth very much, but the physical changes that came with age made him feel like he was no longer himself. He feared he couldn't meet her desires, and instead of confronting that fear, he chose avoidance. He believed Elizabeth had also lost interest, that her silence was a sign of acceptance. Both of them were lost in their own negative thoughts, unaware that the other was experiencing the same emotions. According to relationship experts, one of the biggest mistakes long-married couples make is assuming they can read each other's minds. They stop talking, stop sharing their feelings, and build their own narratives about their partner in their heads, narratives that are often inaccurate. And that's exactly what happened to David and Elizabeth. The silence had become an invisible wall, separating them. One morning, while at the market, Elizabeth ran into her old friend Sarah. Sarah, a woman who was always full of energy, asked Elizabeth about her life with David. When Elizabeth cautiously shared her problems, Sarah listened with empathy. "Elizabeth, I understand that feeling," Sarah said. "My husband and I went through a similar phase, but we decided not to accept it. We found a professional. Would you like to try?" At first, Elizabeth hesitated. "Should we really do that? Is it too late?" Elizabeth asked. Sarah smiled. "It's never too late for love. Besides, physical changes don't mean the end of intimacy. It just means we need to learn how to do it differently." Sarah's words planted a seed of hope in Elizabeth's heart. After returning home, she spoke with David frankly. "My love, can we try talking to a professional?" she asked hesitantly. David looked at her in surprise. He thought she had given up on this a long time ago. After a moment of silence, he nodded. "If you want to, let's try." For the first time in years, they were facing a problem together instead of avoiding it. They found Dr. Anya Sharma, a doctor specializing in geriatrics and sexual health. Dr. Anya was a middle-aged woman with a warm smile and a calm demeanor. She spent hours listening to their story without judgment or pressure. She said, "Many couples your age face similar problems. Hormonal changes, health issues like diabetes or heart disease, and even medications can affect desire and sexual function. It's completely normal." Dr. Anya's words lifted a heavy burden from David and Elizabeth's shoulders. They no longer felt ashamed or alone, Dr. Anya explained. "Our goal isn't to make everything go back to how it was 40 years ago. Our goal is to redefine intimacy. It's a much broader concept than just the physical. Intimacy is holding a hand. It's a surprising kiss on the forehead. It's sharing a secret you wouldn't tell anyone else. It's a connection of the soul." Dr. Anya gave them practical advice. She encouraged them to make time for each other, just to talk and share, without the TV or phones. She also guided them on gentle physical therapy exercises, foods that are good for heart health and sexual function, and most importantly, encouraged them to communicate openly. "Tell each other what you feel," she said. "Don't assume." Assumptions are the biggest enemy of any relationship. One evening, after a session with Dr. Anya, David and Elizabeth sat together in the garden. It had been so long since they had had such a genuine conversation. David shared his fears about how he felt that age had taken away his strength as a husband. Elizabeth also opened up, talking about her own insecurities, about how she thought he no longer found her attractive. When the secrets were spoken, a sense of relief filled the air. They held hands, and David kissed Elizabeth's forehead softly. It was a kiss full of love, full of understanding, and it gave her a feeling of warmth, more profound than any physical intimacy. They started a new journey. They spent time walking on the beach in the mornings, cooking healthy meals together, and rediscovering their shared hobby of gardening. They learned to listen to each other, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. And gradually, intimacy returned to them, not in the old way, but in a new and deeper way. They realized that age doesn't take away love. It just changes how we show it. The story of David and Elizabeth is a reminder to us all that love has no expiration date. It is never too late to invest in your relationship, to find ways to reconnect with your partner, and to rediscover a vital aspect of happiness. David and Elizabeth made their way to Dr. Anya Sharma's office, a small, cozy room filled with natural light and the soft scent of lavender. Dr. Anya was a middle-aged woman with a kind smile and eyes full of understanding. She spent a long time listening to their story without judgment or pressure. She didn't see them as a couple with a problem, but as two individuals searching for each other again. She began the conversation with a simple but poignant question. Can you describe how you feel about intimacy now? David awkwardly looked at Elizabeth. He had never thought he would have to say this out loud. Finally, he took a deep breath and said, I don't feel like myself anymore. My body has changed. I'm afraid I can't meet Elizabeth's desires. I feel helpless. Elizabeth squeezed his hand, her eyes welling up with tears. As for me, she said, I thought he no longer found me attractive. I thought he didn't want me anymore. Dr. Anya nodded with great empathy. That feeling is completely normal and very common, she said. What you are experiencing is called an age-related intimacy gap. It's no one's fault, but rather a result of the natural changes in your bodies and minds. Dr. Anya began to explain things in a way that was both scientific and easy to understand. She talked about the hormonal changes in both men and women after the age of 50. About how the decrease in testosterone and estrogen can affect sexual desire. She also discussed common health issues, like diabetes, heart disease, or even certain medications that can cause sexual dysfunction. According to studies by the U.S. National Institute on Aging, understanding these physiological changes is the first step to overcoming them. We can't fight nature, but we can work with it. She then challenged their definition of intimacy. Intimacy isn't just a physical act, it's a much broader concept. It's a spiritual connection, the feeling of being understood, of being safe, of being loved. Dr. Anya drew a simple diagram on a whiteboard. Imagine intimacy as an ancient tree. Its roots are open and honest communication. Its trunk is trust and compassion. And its branches and leaves are the ways we express love, including physical intimacy, she said. When the tree is in full bloom, we often only see the brilliant flowers and think that's all there is. But when the flowers fade, we forget that the trunk and roots are still there. Strong and resilient. David and Elizabeth listened intently. Her words opened up a whole new perspective for them. Dr. Anya then offered some practical and specific advice. Tip 1. Communicate, communicate, and communicate. You stopped talking to each other about your feelings a long time ago. Let's start again. Dedicate 15 minutes every day just to talk and confide in each other without a TV or phones. Share what you feel, what you worry about, and what you long for. Dr. Anya gave them a small notebook to write down their thoughts. Tip 2. Redefine intimacy. Try new ways to be close. Hold hands during a walk, cook a romantic meal together, give each other a massage after a long day. Don't put pressure on each other about the act. Let it happen naturally when you both feel ready and comfortable. She also encouraged them to explore new gestures of affection, touches that don't necessarily have to lead to anything more. Surveys of happy couples have shown that small, everyday gestures of intimacy are far more important than the frequency of physical acts. Tip 3. Take care of yourselves. Your bodies have changed, but that doesn't mean you have to accept it. Gentle exercises like yoga or swimming can improve heart health and blood circulation. A healthy diet can boost energy and improve mood. When you feel healthy and confident in your bodies, connecting with your partner will also become easier. After the session, David and Elizabeth returned home with a completely different mindset. They no longer felt burdened or hopeless. Instead, a spark of hope and a clear path forward had appeared. They began to follow Dr. Anya's advice. That evening, instead of sitting in front of the TV, they went outside to the porch, watched the moon, and talked. David spoke first, about how he feared that age had taken away his strength. Elizabeth listened with complete empathy, and she also opened up about her own insecurities, about how she thought he no longer found her attractive. As the secrets were spoken, a sense of relief filled the air. They held hands, and David kissed Elizabeth's forehead softly. It was a kiss full of love, full of understanding, and it gave her a feeling of warmth, more profound than any physical intimacy. They started a new journey. They spent time walking on the beach in the mornings, cooking healthy meals together, and rediscovering their shared hobby of gardening. They learned to listen to each other, not just with their ears, but with their hearts. And gradually, intimacy returned to them, not in the old way, but in a new and deeper way. They realized that age doesn't take away love, it just changes how we show it. The story of David and Elizabeth is a reminder to us all that love has no expiration date. It is never too late to invest in your relationship, to find ways to reconnect with your partner, and to rediscover a vital aspect of happiness.